Greetings. Welcome to In Conversation with Trevor, brought to you by the Nyaradza Group. I go beyond the headlines and beyond the sensational. Today, I'm in conversation with the Governor of the Central Bank of Zimbabwe, Dr. John Mangudya. Enjoy this quality conversation. Doctor, thank you so much for creating this time to be on In Conversation with Trevor. I thought, Governor, we would start. We've just had the sad news of our friend, banker, entrepreneur, Douglas Munatsi, who passed away as we were preparing for this conversation. What are your memories of him?
Thank you, Trevor. Indeed, it's a sad loss to the family of Doug. Our prayers and love are with his family. It is a sad moment because Doug, we just with him on Friday at the official handover of the property by government to Afrexim Bank, the corner of Chitepo and 7th Street. So, you know, our memories go very far with Doug. From being a banker, astute banker, now he served in our mandatory post committee, as you are aware.
Yes.
Very astute business person, very responsive, and indeed a person who will tell you exit is. He was a straight talker, so to say. Absolutely,
a straight talker. For me, Doug was a friend. He's been a friend, I think, for over 30 years. So I've decided that we dedicate this conversation to Doug in his memory. The amazing work he's done in the banking sector as a professional, a patriot for that matter, somebody who decided to live his comfortable life and serve the country as the first chief executive of Zida. So fond memories of the man. And indeed, he was so keen to have more investors coming to Zimbabwe. His message was also, let's not put obstacles to investors. Indeed, he was trying to ensure that Zida becomes a one-stop shop for investors, modeled along the program or template of which he was trying to deliver best. And his belief, I mean, which I bought into big time, was a lot of us are good at criticizing from the sidelines. But if the nation calls you to come and serve, you can't say, no, I can't serve because I'm comfortable criticizing on the sidelines. An opportunity to serve is an opportunity for you to go and show that your criticism was based on quality rather than just wanting to throw stones from the sidelines. Was that the sense that you get of it?
Yeah, definitely. Because you know what, when he started at Zida, we always used to share some work, what we're doing here as a bank, and also the relationship between what he was going to do at Zida and also the rest of government machinery. So definitely, yes, and he wanted to ensure that Zida, he walks by his talk. You know, they're walking the talk, so to say. You know, in his team, we had groomed this good team there, and to ensure that at least they executed the mandate of Zida the way it was expected. You know, he was so keen with this special economic zones.
Yes.
He was so keen to ensure that there are no obstacles from the exchange control perspective. So each time we would speak to you, and Faraba said, the exchange control, that no way, you expected to see something that is almost outside this world in terms of interference. So yeah, you're right. He came inside, from outside, to ensure that he does what he thought was the best for the economy.
I am pained. So we're doing this show in his honor. Absolutely, we're doing this show in his honor. He represents the amazing talent that this country has had. So thank you, Governor, for having us here. Governor, we have this conversation. You were appointed in 2014. Yes. So you now have how many more years before your term ends?
About 2.5 years.
2.5 years.
Yes.
When you look back at your first term and the second term, what is your biggest success?
The first term of office was at the 2014 to 2019.
Right.
No, it was a period where Zimbabwe was using dollarization as a means of the economic setup. Therefore, the impact of monetary policy was not felt much in the economy because we're using the dollarization or most part of the term from 2014 to 2018. We only changed remove the dollarization in 2019. And therefore, you'll find that the first term of office we had a deflation.
Right.
Whereas many people want the dollarization, but with deflation, most of the part of my first term, it only ended in 2017 after we introduced the some of the currencies, the bond notes, in 2016. The whole idea there was to ensure that we pump up the economy, we inject some liquidity in the economy. That's what happened, of which by that time, therefore that first term is so different from the second term. The second term is basically now our local currency is our functional currency. And therefore the impact of monetary policy and its transmission is now being felt in the economy. And therefore our success during this second term is basically that we managed to reduce inflation from the 8.7% in July last year, 2020, down to 58% now in November 2021. That's it's a very significant decrease, a significant work of discharging our remit as a central bank. And together with the government, we've put in place well-coordinated fiscal and monetary policies that worked very well to ensure that at least there's fiscal consolidation by the government and there's conservative monetary policy stance to ensure that we tame inflation. And that combination, that strong coordination between the two, fiscal and monetary policies by government and bank, has helped the economy to be where it is today. So yeah, today we can say we are smelling success of our coordination of policies, which is what any country should do.
When you say currency, as I'm sitting here with you, I must own up to saying, Governor, what's our currency?
Our local currency is called the Zimbabwe dollar currency. I always see many people always say RTGS, bond note. It's supposed to be the local currency is always called the Zimbabwe dollar.
And so, which is when I'm asking is because I'm not clear, because I go to a supermarket and there's RTGS, there is EcoCash, there is Nostro, there is all sorts of things. So what it means, Governor, is that there's confusion in the market in terms of what exactly is the governor's currency? Which currency does the governor want people to use?
That's a very good question, Trevor. Our local currency is called the Zimbabwe dollar, ZWL, or ZW is the dollar sign. The US dollar is the US with the dollar sign. Our local currency is called the Zimbabwe dollar. The confusion comes from the fact that in 2019, when we separated the local currency from the foreign currency, and we did such an instrument 33 of 2019, we referred to the local currency as the RTGS, and subsequently changed to the local currency called the Zimbabwe dollar. So the Nostro currency, there's no time to go to do Nostro. People are using all some of them they're too educated.
Yeah.
So they use all types of acronyms.
Does that not worry you as the governor to preside over this economy where there's so many? We'll get to the exchange rate, but the currency itself, the notes and the coins. Talk to me about that.
It doesn't worry me, but because there's diversity in Zimbabwe. So as long as we speak the same language, that I know that when they are referring to the RTGS, they are talking about the Zimbabwe dollars. Maybe from this conversation, we need to change the narrative.
Right.
And say the narrative of our local currency is called the Zimbabwe dollar. And the foreign currency that we're using here, we normally use the US dollars, there's rands, there's British pounds, but the predominantly in the market, there's US dollar. That's what's being used. And for the other currency can be accepted. So the local currency, then there's nothing called Nostro. These are accounts for banks in foreign banks. And therefore, and then what is happening in Zimbabwe, these are foreign currency accounts. So in the foreign currency accounts, we've got foreign currency in those accounts, but we don't have nostros. So people, they confuse again with the term nostro. Nostro, it means our account with you in the foreign bank. The opposite of nostro is vostro, which means their account in our books. So the term nostro, what they refer to, because again, you remember that with the virtual US dollar and money that was physical money in the nostro accounts. So what they say nostro, I also know, so I empathize with people of Zimbabwe. I live with them. I know what they're referring to, so it doesn't bother me because I know exactly what they are saying. But for purposes of this conversation, it's the local currency, foreign currency accounts, and the foreign currency.
And when you say in your opening remarks, we can see, you said you can see victory.
Yeah, we see a victory
right.
ahead of us.
By the time you leave your second term, supposing it's not renewed, because the Constitution says your term should not be renewed after two terms of 5 years each, 10 years. Any likelihood that we'll get a currency, we'll get coins and notes of our Zimbabwe dollar? Because now
we've got them, Trevor.
Which are those?
We have got them.
Which ones are those?
We have got our local currency, which is definitely, if you look at your $50 note, that's a local Zimbabwe dollar currency.
Right.
If you look at a $20 note, look at a $10 note, and also the coins. So we have got
we've got coins.
We have got the coins, which start from 1 cent to 50 cents or $2, and then we've got the local dollars, which is basically your local currency. The $50 note, your $20 note, your $10, $5, and $2. Those are all. If you look at them, they say that we pay in demand. This is the local Zimbabwe dollars.
Do you get the sense that I get that a lot of people out there, these Zimbabweans that you live with, the Zimbabweans that you know, don't have confidence in their currency? They don't have confidence in the Zimbabwean dollar. Do you get that? Because I do get that.
Very simple. As I said initially, I empathize with people of Zimbabwe. They've gone through difficult processes. If you look at the period up to 2008, it was hyperinflation, right? When inflation was very high. And when you look after 2009, there was dollarization. So what's happened is that there is past experiences which are terribly affecting people's minds, that there is a fear factor of hyperinflation. And the hyperinflation was resolved, or if you use the COVID terminology, there was a vaccination of the hyperinflation called dollarization. So Zimbabwe lived both worlds of hyperinflation, which was terrible, and of and dollarization, whereby the local currency, so whereby the foreign currency substitutes the local currency.
Right.
And thus there was stability. So the two worlds, they make Zimbabweans to live mainly in the past as opposed to go forward. So these are past experiences, therefore they are called non-economic factors of influencing the sentiment. So the sentiments are being shaped by the past experiences. Therefore what we are talking about, a lack of trust, confidence, it's called that's negative sentiments of your own currency because of the things of the past. But life goes on.
So the things of the past are pretty painful to a lot of people, Governor. The things of the past are where the Reserve Bank is seen to have participated. Prior to you coming in, the history of that history says the Reserve Bank was seen to participate in the destruction of value, people's pensions, people's assets, and people's savings. So that past is very painful to deal with. And a lot of Zimbabweans are not yet ready to go into that future. My sense is that you are under pressure to behave in a manner that makes the public forget the pain that happens in the past. Is that happening?
That's what was happening right now. We are working 24/7 to ensure that we erase the history of the past. We erase that history. We work on the history. We need to go into a new normal. New normal means learning from the past to go forward. So we cannot remain in the past. if we remain in the past, we'll never go forward. So you're right. I empathize with people of Zimbabwe, what we went through together as a team. Definitely, there was erosion of value in our currency, and we need now to work on that to go forward. It's only forward the way you can find solace, and then get comfort that some of us were working 24/7 to go forward. Yes, that's exactly where we are. So that's why if you look at our strategy plan for from 2014 to 2019 and 2020 to 2025, we are saying that our want to go back to core business of the central bank. Now go back to basics. What do I mean? We want to ensure that the central bank's function and mandate is to achieve and maintain price stability and financial sector stability. Why is it very important? Because once you stabilize your currency, you have your value of your currency, it means that people become indifferent from holding the Zim dollar or the foreign currency. And that, therefore, the price of all what you're talking about is stability. It's reducing inflation from where it is today, now 58, to below, by around 20% by next year, and then the other year, say to single digits inflation. That way, because the value of money is measured by the level of inflation.
Right.
So that's why we are attacking. We want to control inflation. We use all what we can do using the monetary policy front to ensure that we have what a hawkish monetary policy stance, which reduces money in the market. So at the end of the day, we have what low inflation. And that, and also together with government's consolidation on the fiscal side, that will help government not borrow from the Reserve Bank. So if they don't borrow from us, means that there is no reason for increased money supply in the economy. And that way, those are the policy measures that this country needs to ensure that we bring value to our local currency and also increase its usage in the market. We need to be proud of our local currency.
As Nyaradzo, we strive to continuously bring convenience to our clients. Nyaradzo Group is proud to introduce Sawi, a new virtual chatbot assistant on WhatsApp. With Sawi, you are now able to interact with us from the comfort of your home and can be assisted anytime via WhatsApp. With life assurance products, diaspora products, applying and assessing your policy, payment platforms, claims information, and any other queries concerning payments, policy information, or products and services. Simply WhatsApp Sawi on +263 712 992892 or register and start interacting and receiving notifications from Sawi on WhatsApp. Now, join in and experience a new level of convenience 24 hours a day with Sawi.
The bond notes and the bond coins, is that part of our currency or that's gone?
No, that's gone.
That's gone.
That's gone. The statutory instrument of 33 of 2019 put a closure to bond notes and bond coins. We now have a local Zimbabwe dollar currency.
Okay. Correct me if I'm wrong, Governor. When you introduced the bond notes, you said, if they do not work, I'm going to resign. Did you say that?
I think that was miscalculated.
On your part?
No, not on my part.
Okay.
No. I think it was misconstrued.
Okay.
It was misconstrued,
Okay.
so to say. What I said, which is very clear, was that if bond notes do not fail to do what they're meant to do, I'll resign. Now, the issue is probably that they don't interpret what they're meant to do.
Yeah.
The bond notes was an export incentive scheme.
Right.
Remember that when we were paying gold, for example, incentives. And we were paying gold incentives so that they increased gold production and bought deliveries of fidelity printers. What happened in 2017, 2018, when the highest deliveries of gold at fidelity printers, reaching 35%, 34 tons in a year, because of exporting without that export incentive. What happened in the manufacturing sector? Go and ask the companies right now. They're now exporting because of the export incentive scheme, which they're now asking for right today. Now, the bond was a 5 percentage points as an export incentive scheme. So did they work? As far as I'm concerned, they worked very well in increasing the export incentive scheme, in the export incentive for this economy. And exporters are now more, they're now more exporters right now. We talk of gold,
So as far as you're concerned, the bond notes worked, and you don't regret having said that statement?
The purpose of that statement was saying that if they fail to achieve their remit, what they meant for. So when they say it failed, what did they fail to do? So I mean, one can also ask then, because I never have this time to have conversation with the people.
I think people.
What do they expect?
That's a very good question, Gavin. I think people, as far as people are concerned, they are not privy to the information that you've just shared right now. That when you introduced the bond notes, they were incentive for exporters, and indeed it worked. We did get more exports coming through. I think the pain that people feel that makes them keep on going back to the governor's statement of I'll resign is they saw the bond notes, their value going down almost every day. They saw the trouble of accessing the bond notes. So in their minds, the memory is a negative memory, is a negative sentiment. Do you get that?
See, what I get is about polarization,
right?
Which is now a major thing which you need to exercise in this economy.
Yeah,
I see polarization. It depends on who you are asking. A bond note was never there. It did not erode value, because the bond note was introduced in 2016.
right?
And we're still using 1-to-1 up to 2019. So no one lost value in 2016, and no one lost value in 2017, not at all. So when you say it was not caused by the dollarization, by the bond note, and the bond note was also used as a change. People here forget sometimes. We never have change for our US dollars. People used to get tokens as change, but because the movement of time, we're now today 2021. So the bond note was used as remember that we went into a overdrive to ensure that we were advertising. Go back to the annals of history. Even the papers, they used to help us on advertising this as an export incentive. But because of other maybe factors, which I think is polarization in the economy, we always never see Zimbabwe as half full, but as half empty. I think with that trend, and it's unfortunate. So I cannot apologize on things that I don't meant to say.
Okay.
But I'm sorry that people misconstrued it. Again, no, look at this life. Life goes on.
Another difficulty that I get the sense that the market has is you've just said right now, you want us to have the confidence to use our own currency.
Definitely.
And not the foreign currency. We should be proud to have our own currency. But how do we have that confidence when our own government accepts taxes, duties, and other service in a foreign currency and not in our local currency?
Trevor,
how do you explain that? Help us to understand that so that we get exactly what the governor's thinking and the government's thinking on that is.
Our take is very simple.
Yeah.
We have since said that we are using the free funds, but we are using a multi-currency system, whereby our local currency is a functional currency for purpose of accounting, for purpose of pricing purposes. But you can tender the US dollar or foreign currency for purpose of transacting.
Right.
So what our take is that we're in a transition, whereby we are transitioning ourselves from this multi-currency system into our own local currency system, but that cannot be done overnight. So during that transition, you cannot cut off life by as to say. You need to have a transitioning. So what government is doing is to ensure that it complies with also the statutory instrument. We say that we're in a transition. Let's have both currencies. You can pay taxation in local currency. If you're exporting, you also pay in the currency that you have earned. But obviously, over time, what we expect is to have graduating, moving gradual from that and creating more avenues for usage of our own currency. That way, it means that we're promoting the value or promoting the demand for our currency. So I'm seeing it as a gradual process towards that. So the question is about how gradual is that process?
Yes, like? How gradual is that process, Governor?
Given where we're coming from,
yeah,
we have said that, and we all agree that people went through difficult times. In 2008, people who used the US dollar. So once since you've got the two wells of both hyperinflation and the stabilization due to dollarization, means that you cannot use one overnight. You now need to have a gradual. Normally, countries that have done that take even about between 3 to 5 years. Yeah, because it's a gradual process. But in that gradual, you need to say, what are the elements which you use your local currency for? Maybe your taxation, maybe your public utilities. Then you say in proportion as you go down. Maybe, for example, we are now say royalty fees, for example, in terms of mining. Maybe say by saying it's 50-50 you pay. So at the end of the day, there is a home for our local currency.
Now, if the government then comes up and says we're going to pay bonuses in forex, to me, correct me if I'm wrong, but for me, the sign there is we don't have confidence in our local currency. We're going to pay the civil servants in a better currency, which is forex. That is, for me, that doesn't sound like a gradual transition where we're going. It says to me, where we're going is the dollar, not our local currency. Am I wrong? Correct me, Governor, please.
I think it's being pragmatic.
Right.
I think Governor is being pragmatic here. What is being said is that, let's look at the circumstances. Aside that, the local currency, as you have said, because of this negative sentiments, people all want the US dollar at all costs, right? So the danger with if the government paid in foreign local currency, because people they still have that obsession for the foreign currency, means they're going to exchange all their local dollars into foreign currency.
Okay.
And therefore it means they're going to have a run on the parallel exchange rate. So in the transition, it was found necessary by government to ensure that they pay civil servants and the pensioners bonus in foreign currency. So as the whole idea here is in good faith to ensure that at least we don't have a run on the parallel exchange rate, which was going to filter through again into pricing system, which we are trying to tame. So I think there was just a quid pro quo that was supposed to be taken to ensure that at least for now, let's pay in foreign currency to ensure that at least we don't have put exert too much pressure on the exchange rate, because otherwise we're going to pay again the price of IF. So it looks like a contradiction, but it's not.
I want to posit to you that this is actually it will add pressure on the currency, because the private sector is now under pressure to pay bonuses in US dollars, and the private sector doesn't have access to the US dollars at an official exchange rate. They might have to go onto the black market to pay bonuses for this year. What's your response to that?
Not necessarily, Trevor. Of course, we've allowed the private sector to sell their goods and services in both local currency and in foreign currency. You find that most of these shops and the business sector, they're already adding foreign currency from the local sales of foreign currency. You may be surprised, Trevor, that our estimation, let me just give you the numbers.
Yeah.
Out of the foreign currency in Zimbabwe, 46% of our deposits are foreign currency. 54% is local currency. Right. Now, in that local currency, so in the 46%, these are your deposits coming from the diaspora, coming from the gold exports, coming from gold producers. So in a month, Zimbabwe receives about 120 million in terms of diaspora remittances in cash. And we spend about same amount of around $80 to $100 million, which we used to buy the gold from artisanal miners. Now that money is within the economy, and that money needs a home. So when a shop like OK, like TM, like N. Richards, like Metro Pitch, when they sell their produce or their products, they also sell in foreign currency. That foreign currency, they now bank it, so there's 120% comes to auction. So because of the nature of our economy, we think that whilst there's $1.7 billion in the FC accounts, there's general liquidity of foreign currency. As a bank, from the SDRs that we receive from behalf of government, we're about almost $1 billion in our Nostro account at the IMF and in our other banks. Now, we think that in Zimbabwe, what is circulating, notes and coins in circulation in Zimbabwe, in foreign currency. It's about 1.5 to 2 billion. That's over and above that money that I'm talking about, which we can see by bank statements. And that money which is circulation, you find that most people in this country, you have seen robberies taking place.
Yeah.
There's always a foreign currency. If I go to your team here, I find a $10 or $5 or $20 in US dollars, right? That's what we call money, notes and coins in circulation. It's not bad, because people need the money in their pockets for day-to-day expenditure. So we're not saying it's bad. I think the last time I read in newspaper that Zebing was complaining about money in the formal. So in informal, I said, no, it's normal. In any country, there's always notes and coins in circulation, which means money that is people's hands, that money is the businesses for their own business conduct. So in terms of bonus, what I'm saying is, for the private sector, they don't need to go buy from market. They need to sell their produce. And then from their own, they can also buy, also
from own resources.
Yeah.
So, are you comfortable with that position, Governor, that you've just outlined now? That there seems to be 50% of notes and coins in circulation are under people's beds, briefcases, and so forth. Are you comfortable with that position?
No, it's not about being comfortable. It's about its money being utilized in trade. Because you can never keep your money under the briefcase for long. Because if we want to send your children to school, you need to go and buy your food. You need to go and do, if you are farming, like yourself, you need to do your business. So that money, the only problem that they're keeping money under the pillows. The money should go into the bank and then start using it so they circulate within the economy. But yes, that money can always end up being circulating, because they need to go and buy something from the shop. But ideally, they need to put in the bank.
They need to put in the bank.
Yes.
Should you not be giving them the incentive and encouraging them to put that money in the bank? Does that not say that the public has no confidence in the banking system? Talk to me about that, Governor.
Yeah, what happens is as follows, Trevor. We say that it's a transition. These are the same people who have been hurt before. And we are creating the atmosphere for people to have confidence in themselves, confidence in the systems, and confidence in the banking sector. It's not about the bank, it's about the whole confidence in the whole system. It's about the economic system. It's an ecosystem. It's not about banking system. It's an ecosystem of the whole market to ensure that at the end of the day, when people put their money, it won't be taken again. No, that's how people lose their money. So we need to ensure that we inculcate this confidence, the positive sentiment. So, as I said, I empathize with people's behavior, but that behavior is shaped by the past history. What we're trying to say is, guys, let's go on. Let's change the narrative.
Let me press you there. What measures are you, as governor, putting in place to ensure that I, as Trevor, chicken farmer, publisher, don't have to keep money under the mattress? I should deposit it in the bank. What measures what assurance do you give me?
We have all agreed with the banking sector, the BAZ, Zimbabwe banking sector of Zimbabwe, three things. We've now agreed that we need to ensure that we provide interest, good interest, and I can tell you right now, between 3 and 7.5% being interest given to depositors of foreign currency is the highest in the world. Because you don't get it.
Are banks paying that now?
Yeah, they're paying
Are
it.
they?
Yeah. We've also agreed that they need people need to put money into savings deposits as opposed to pay call accounts. Call accounts throughout the world, you don't get incentives, you don't get interest, but you get incentives whereby you can give your bank, say, a week's notice before you draw down. So, yeah, this is high, quite enough. It's high enough. If you look at other jurisdictions, if you get 0.5%, you are so lucky.
Negative interest.
Negative interest, you pay for. But therefore, it's not about interest, but it's the interests are there. And the banks have been advertising, and definitely that money comes there. You could put in the market, and when money circulates in the market, it means that the economy, this economy can do well with that. And thirdly, we also say that the banks can also lend in foreign currency to ensure that at least the money, whenever they lend to you in foreign currency, means they also pay interest to the depositor who would have put money in the account.
So you going back to your gradual transition. Am I right? Correct me that the evidence so far from the IMF and from the World Bank is that once you've dollarized de-dollarizing is almost impossible because it's a mindset. It's a matter of confidence. And my sense is that the signals that you are sending out means that this transition is going to be very long, because the mindset, why I'm keeping money under the mattress and so forth, says I don't have confidence. Talk to me about the being confident that this de-dollarization is going to happen.
It's going to happen because of three things. Number one, we need to increase production,
Okay.
which is what we've been working on. If you look at our agriculture, has been going up. If you look at manufacturing, has been going up. So the more you increase your local production, and with more products from Zimbabwe which are sold in our shops, right now about 70-75%. That way, it means that you now have your confidence. So confidence does not come by word of mouth. It comes from production, productivity. Right now we are producing more wheat now than before 10 years ago. We are talking about 9 months supply of our own wheat from 3 months. As long as you are now consuming your own production in your own economy, it means you increase the value of your currency. When you talk about the Vision 2030 being a upper middle income country, we're measuring production. So what we need to do, we need to change the culture, to build a culture of hard-working production, not a short-termism, which I see in this economy. Short-termism is akin to short-term arbitrage opportunities, what you used to call burning. See, indeed, we're burning our currency, but we're destroying it.
Burning the country too.
Yes, that burning syndrome, it needs to be changed to ensure that we become productive. So number one, we need to increase production and productivity to give value to our own currency. Two, we need to ensure that we increase exports so that this foreign currency come more into Zimbabwe. So at the end of the day, whenever you want it yourself, you can go to a bank and get it. And the three, as I said earlier, we need to ensure that we provide the avenues for usage of our own currency. Everyone wants their own currency. Because we want to be competitive. Dollarization is good on the paper, but not good for the economy. Because you won't be able to be competitive when you are using it. That's why we're going to export more during dollarization. You can't compete. That's why we give that export incentive. The reason why I give that export incentive, which you call bond notes, is because there was no room for competition. You could not compete with anyone.
Governor, you introduced the Dutch auction system for currency. Talk to us about why you did that. What were you seeking to achieve?
What we're seeking to achieve under the auction system,
Yeah.
there are three things or four things. The first one is that we want to find a price discovery. Given that the Zimbabwean banking sector, they're almost they're operating in silos. There is no interbank talk about in Zimbabwe. Basically because of the geopolitical restrictions, whereby Bank A does not trust Bank B because of compliance issues. Right. So because of compliance issues, you find that the banks in this country, they do not trade among themselves. So you wanted a platform whereby it's good for all the participants to come and list purchase foreign currency through the normal banking system. So the system is like that, and that system needs to have also some foreign currency. So our liquidations, which is surrender requirements, your 40% surrender requirements of exporters, money comes on the table. The economic agents, they go through their banks and they bid for that foreign currency. By so doing, you are spreading foreign currency to other areas where it was never going to be if we only did the auction system. So the auction system, what is done is been a game changer for redistributing foreign currency within the economy. Our manufacturing sector, as you are aware, predominantly import substitution.
Right.
But they need more foreign currency than the mining sector.
Yeah.
So the only way, or the way that we believe was the best solution under given circumstances, under the given context which I'm talking about geopolitical restrictions, it means that you need someone who put money there, which is from the exporters of mining, and that money goes redistributed to go to manufacturing sector. And what is happening now? Our sector in the manufacturing sector has gone up from 34% capacity utilization, 47. Now we're expecting 62. But some even entities today, go to talk to the likes of Delta. They're more than 100%. They're now 100% capacity utilization. That is what is required for an economy. That is what brings confidence in the economy. So the US auction has worked very well in redistributing.
You're happy with the way the auction has worked?
Oh, definitely. It has increased the local production of goods and services in Zimbabwe. It has increased the foreign currency accessibility of foreign currency. Even a person wants to buy, want to go to school fees. You just go to a bank and get it and go. So if you look at the SMEs auction, where school fees, many people are paying their school fees, licenses, they have access to it before. Where do you get money? So it's a market. So we've created a market for foreign currency. So to me,
what about the gap between the auction rate and the black market? I want to call it the black market and not dignify it and call it a parallel market. 160 to 200. There's a 50 to 90% gap between the black market rate and the official rate.
30 to 200. I think that's what you hear in newspapers. But the issue what we know is about it's between 140 if it's cash and up to 180, 185. That's the range that we know about from our teams on the research in terms of our FIUs and the exchange control. Right. That range, you need to ask. That's why we talk about bonuses last time. That if I put the bonus in the economy, that rate was going to go up. But because people have got this heart, that obsession, that requirement to always hold foreign currency, they think it's the more stable currency, which it is also. But therefore, there is a tendency of people wanting to compete with one another. So the black market, which you said, or which I call the parallel market rate of exchange, that parallel exchange rate is caused by non-economic factors. People wanting to hold foreign currency at all costs, not bother importing. You'll be surprised that the demand factor for foreign currency is the store of value demand, as opposed to the import demand for foreign currency. So the exchange rate which they are using when the people come to the auction is the import demand for foreign currency. What we are seeing in the streets is now the store of value demand to hedge against inflation, to hedge against the loss of value. So those are the two things that we're doing. So we have non-economic factors, economic factors, and the two, they are combined. End of the day, sometimes very difficult for people to see the economic agents to see the difference. But I can tell you, even today, you find the people who are buying in the shop, those people who are milling around the shops with their cards. They want to buy.
Swipe, give me cash and I'll swipe for you.
Do you think they want money for importation? No. It's now a business, an arbitrage industry, which is created because they are seeing a value, the burning, which you spoke about during the hyperinflation 2008. So that temptation, that tendency, it's because of a short-termism. People,
but let me press you there, Governor. What should the governor be doing to ensure that that incentive is gotten rid of? I have no need of the US dollar. I am 100% confident in my currency. What should the Reserve Bank be doing?
The Reserve Bank governor and the Reserve Bank officials and the team, what we need to show that is to show that our local currency is so scarce to see. That's why we increase interest rates. That's why we have got a very stringent formula on our reserve target growth, reserve money growth, whereby we are saying money should grow by more than 10% per quarter. The idea is to ensure that at least it becomes scarcity. So the best way of managing money is to make it scarce. Once it's scarce, it means that you increase its value. So we are using all the tools, the open market operations, the non-negotiable certificate of deposits, NCDs. The whole idea is to move the money in the market. But as you also know, are aware, Trevor, this year was a good year in terms of agriculture.
Yes.
And almost more than $46 billion has been put into the economy through GMP by government for the purchase of maize and wheat and the small grains from the farmers. That way, what has happened is that it has increased money, the broad money in people's pockets, and that money is their home. So what I believe is this is cyclical. Once that money is all spent, because money, once it's spent, remember that when it comes to this end of December, January disease, We now have less Zimbabwe in the market. So this is downside, or it's a side effects of a good performing economy.
Move you to perhaps a sensitive space. Dr. Gideon Gono was on this show a while back, and he said if one thing perhaps that he regrets he never did was to campaign to make sure that he's independent from his parent ministry, which he referred to is the elephant in the room. What's your view of that elephant in the room? Are you comfortable with the autonomy that you have, the independence that you have as governor?
You know what, to be honest with you, globally, the best practice is that central banks should be independence. But the issue is about how do you measure independence. I always believe that there's always interdependency, just like nations. Zimbabwe is an independent country. Yeah. But we need to, we are in a re-engagement process with the rest of the world. So you can never live alone. So the term independence is a relative term. Independence doesn't mean that you ignore other policymakers or ignore government or ignore banks. No. A central bank is a banker, but they only have two clients. Banker to government and the banker to banks. Right. When you talk about independence here, we're talking about saying that when you say that we do not want to increase money supply, right? And then government needs also to understand that we are saying we don't want to increase money supply. It means they need to live within their means. And I'm happy that the government is living within their means. We don't necessarily need to have a law which says independence for government to live within their means, but there should also be the commitment from government, which I'm seeing right now, whereby government is living within their means. They haven't come to the Reserve Bank for borrowing. The whole of the year, they borrow from the market. That's what it should be, as opposed to borrow from the Reserve Bank. Borrow from the Reserve Bank, Trevor, what does? It increases money supply. Because it means I need to print the money. When that money is printed, that money increases the quantity of money in circulation. And when you increase money in circulation, increase what? Inflation. Therefore, what you need are just good, right sets of policies, which are there right now. But why people now ask for independence? Because you don't know who will be there tomorrow. Yes. So it's about the strong institutions. Absolutely. So what we need in life is about strong institutions. Right. And therefore that's what is being said. So I'm not very sure about it's about the people, about people behind any institution, behind any policy is the people. People matter.
Have you disagreed with your principal, the president, for instance, or your minister of finance, and pushed back on issues protecting your independence?
No. My way of operation, Trevor, I think I have known you for a long time. I'm never a fighting person. But what I am is that I always engage. So I engage my principal. I engage my principals. I engage the Minister of Finance. I engage the President, the Vice President on issues about monetary policy. It's always more like an engagement process, not about fighting.
Collegial kind of
collegial relationship. So I last fought when I was grade 7 after I had in Keto. So I'm never a fighting spirit. But I always see some people throwing a best at me. I always laugh and I sleep very comfortably because it's not part of my DNA.
Tell me, I mean, interesting that you say that, because being governor is a hot seat. Because everyone says, oh, it's because Mangudya has done this, because Mangudya has done this. What does that criticism do to you?
No, it's just my mind. To be honest, I enjoy. I read just recent one of the newspapers about open letter to Mangudya. I like. I read this.
You read those letters?
I read this every time. No, I like reading.
You don't get angry?
No, not at all. That's not just my mind. Because I always ask myself, where do we differ? With the person who is writing. Because whenever something writing open letter, there's something that we differ. So I enjoy reading these things. With the social media, I enjoy it. So I believe in moral suasion. As a central, the first tool of usage by a central bank is about moral suasion. When you see a central bank using now such instruments, whatever it is, show that we have failed to talk. So I believe in moral suasion. So in my life, it's about moral suasion to see the way you also, because I empathize with many people. I also empathize, what are they seeing which I'm not seeing? So I read it to understand. Then I phone the person, or in most cases, my friend, this is what you're writing. But this is what we are doing.
Yeah.
Where do you think we should? What do you think we should improve? So I don't just my mind this thing.
So are you then saying that moral suasion has failed, resulting in people like Simba Mankoni, Dr. Simba Mankoni being arrested because of SI 127, and the private sector, from what I gather, is saying, Governor, can we talk? Can we smoke the peace pipe as far as is concerned? Has moral suasion failed? Should we not be removing SI 127 from our books and take things from there?
But you know what? SI 127 was not as bad as people want it to be. There is this narrative. Can I call it? There's something called malevolent or sadist.
Yeah.
That people who are always saying things in a negative sense.
Right.
When even things are supposed to be positive. The same people were complaining that the business sector is continuously increasing prices, right? And they were claiming, government, why can't you do this? And therefore, 127, we then moderated it ourselves, being the administrators of that piece of instrument. That we are looking at three things in that SI 217. Number one, people who are abusing foreign currency from the auction system. And we all agree that if you come to the auction and you get 100% of your requirements, don't also abuse it by what? By coming there and sell your things at what? 200, 185. Right. So we need some rationality in that. Two, we are saying people under Zimbabwe is under a member of FATF, Financial Action Task Force on unbundling, money laundering, and counter-financial terrorism. We are saying that we need to deposit our money. As a trader, when you have sold your goods and services, you need to what? To bank your money. So it's about Bank Use Promotion Act. There's an act for that purpose. And three, we're saying currency manipulation. Because others will just want to manipulate the currency. Because the more they push the rate, the more people don't want the lower currency. Because they say this is now useless. So that's why how we then moderated the 127. We met with the business community here, and I'm happy that
you're talking to them.
Yeah, we spoke to them, and they all had a genuine agreement that not. Indeed, there was no fundamental reason why the rate should be going up. It was all because people want to have a substitute for the lower currency, but not for purpose of import. So we are talking to them, and we are quite happy with the results of the talking that we had with them. So we call them here, and each time they tell us that this is where we are, and we are happy to continue engaging them.
As Nyaradzo, we strive to continuously bring convenience to our clients. Nyaradzo Group is proud to introduce Sawi, a new virtual chatbot assistant on WhatsApp. With Sawi, you are now able to interact with us from the comfort of your home and can be assisted anytime via WhatsApp with life assurance products, diaspora products, applying and assessing your policy, payment platforms, claims information, and any other queries concerning payments, policy information, or products and services. Simply WhatsApp Sawi on +263 712 992892 or register and start interacting and receiving notifications from Sawi on WhatsApp. Now, join in and experience a new level of convenience 24 hours a day with Sawi.
Governor, there's a sense I'm getting that the exporters are not happy with the currency surrender rules because they get paid based on the official rate when they could get a better rate in the black market, 180.
140,
Talk to me about that, Governor. Why should that be there? Is there a way that this is going to be moderated to ensure that more forex is kept in the hands of the people that earn the forex?
It's a very fair question.
Yes.
Because what happens that they tend to suffer from what we call exchange losses.
Yes.
Because they would have sold the money, I'd say 105, but the opportunity cost of the money, say it's 140, 160, as you have said. The major way or the best way of resolving that measure is that we need to ensure that the 40% that we liquidated is used on official transactions, which is also another transaction whereby there are also banks, also companies or government buying or selling it, the 100. or
Okay.
105.
Right.
So that's why we are saying that we need to ensure that the 40% that they receive in local currency is used for on transactions that are also at the official exchange rate. Therefore, that's why government and ourselves need to find a home for that portion of the local currency in also official exchange rate. So when I was speaking about having a home for the local currency, we need to have a home for these miners who are selling their money, where we're buying it 40%, give them, say, Zimplus, say they sell their money, we take the money to 100. They also need to use the money at also 100 other for their taxation and others like that nature. So that this they avoid using that money in the market where they find implied exchange rate of 160, 140. Yes.
That's
the solution.
That's the solution.
Yes.
Are we ever going to get there?
Yes, we are. That's why I said when I started that we need to give value to our local currency. These are the ways and the means of ensuring that our local currency has got a good home for those people who are receiving it.
One of your tasks spelled out by the Constitution is obviously price stabilization, and a key part of price stabilization is inflation control. The minister announcing the budget did indicate that projections that were saying, we're going to be between 25 and 30 or 25 and 20 and 25, we are way off that mark. What tools do you have, Governor, of fighting inflation to ensure that it is at a space where it doesn't play a negative role as far as price stability is concerned?
All things being equal, the tool that we have got here are enough arsenal to tame inflation. If you use the tools like the non-negotiable certificate of deposits, you're mopping up money from the economy. If you use interest rates so that this is a positive interest rate in the economy, if you use the likes like statutory reserves to take our money from the market, that will dampen inflation. Unfortunately, as we said earlier, there are non-economic factors, which are your sentiments, which are your negative sentiment. That is your expectations, your past experiences. Those in Zimbabwe, they occupy almost 50%. So the 50%, so if you get 100% of the 50%, you still need this other portion where you need your either moral aspiration or you use other means to ensure that you manage the sentiment. So that combination, so the arsenals are there, the tools are there. And going forward, as the minister said, you need also to understand that it's not only about a monetary policy that can influence inflation. Right now, the global inflation has been going up. You've heard about the global supply chains constraints.
Absolutely.
You've heard about the global money supply has gone up. Money supply has gone up because of quantitative easings of in the first world. The IMF has also put money in the economy, the world economy, and the freight has gone up. So there's also a cost push inflation coming from outside.
Right.
That cost push inflation affects also our prices. So the revision from 25% was taking into account of two factors. Exogenous factors, which is these are from outside, and the endogenous ones, which are coming from here, many expectations and sentiments. So that's a combination. So you can put 50% apportioning the difference between what we should have achieved, what we achieved. The 50% being exogenous, 50% being endogenous factors. That's exactly the way we see it as a central bank. And I know that we are right.
Tell me, in terms of your banks that you supervise, am I right that there's about 1.7 billion that is sitting with the bank that has not been deployed in terms of lending to the private sector? If I'm right as far as that number is concerned, are you happy with the role the banks are playing to oil the productive sector? I
think they've tried their level best under the circumstances. There are two things here. The 1.7, about 30%, about 25% of that 30%, 1.7 billion has been deployed in the market for purpose of supporting their export companies, supporting those who are importing, who can also pay in foreign currency, supporting some of their, say, tobacco and agriculture. So yeah, they're deploying it, but it's not as high as one could expect in other country. Why? Because these banks, as I said, because there is no intermediation, there is no interbank financing structures among themselves. Each one of them, they tend to look at their own book in its own right, because they know that when they are short, no one else can assist them. So that one also reflects the structural rigidities that we have got in our economy, whereby our banks are by themselves. They don't get overdrafts from the rest of the world financial institutions. Before, we used to enjoy with a number of correspondent bank relationships, intermediary banks, where we play plenty. Now we are very thin on the ground in terms of correspondent bank relationships. You know, we lost about 87 correspondent bank relationships over the past 20 years. And therefore, because the banks are now thin on the ground, it means that they guard jealously what they have got, knowing that there is no fallback position. It is that, those are the fundamentals behind what you see. So yes, it's true that you've got a lot of money which is seated at the banks, which is general liquidity, but they're keeping for their customers. And you cannot blame them entirely, because, as I said, they are afraid of rainy day.
Is there anything that the central bank could do to ensure that they lend more to the private sector for productive use?
We are quite happy that the IMF released this 671 million SDRs. That's why when we speak and the Minister of Finance speaks that we need to leverage, it means that what it means basically is that let's say these banks deploy their money, and in the unlikely event that there are some defaults, then we can draw down on the SDRs to place a gap. So that money can be used as a stimulus for the banks to be able to lend. That's what we're talking about.
Are the banks on target to be able to meet their US $30 million capital adequacy position?
Yeah, most of them they are, and they're basically earning from their either bringing new capital, or they're using on their own position organic growth. And those ones who are going to fail, obviously they need to ask for dispensation for us to push slightly into the future. But most of
you're comfortable that most of them are going to make?
Our banking sector is sound, safe, and profitable.
This has not been the case for a long time.
Yes.
Because we've had a season where banks, the Reserve Bank, one of the things that you did was closing down banks. Not anymore.
Not anymore. We believe that the closing of a bank, it sends the wrong signals also to the market. Then you see that confidence becomes intertwined. So right now the banks are safe, they are sound and profitable. If you look at the numbers, and what you're talking 1.7, you see there are very few banks. Even IMF, that they noted it, that your banks have got too much liquidity on their position. Their liquidity ratios are higher, are between 60 and 70%.
Wow. And
therefore the banks are liquid. And that's healthy for an economy. You want that as a stabilization policy, as a confidence boosting measure.
Governor, like you said, you and I have known each other for a long time. Talk to me about where you were born, Governor. Where were you born and where did you go to school? I want people to know their governor.
Born and bred in Mtambara, Chimanimani.
Yeah.
I was born at Mtambara Hospital, Mission Hospital. And I went to school, Mtambara Reserve School. See, that time there used to be a mission area in the reserve. So I went to school in Mtambara Reserve School, not the Central Primary School, which was the mission school. And thereafter I went to Bulawayo, Ncube, in a study group in Ncube there, the FMBK D.
Wow.
And then I was there until after I Tumbane. And then, during that time when I was at school in Mtambara, very funny is that everyone was in my family. We were a family of 12. And obviously, two of my brothers went to the war in Mozambique, war, and the other two remained, including myself, who was a Mujiba by that time. It wasn't by choice. It was because of the circumstances we chose. We made that. People think that to become a Mujiba or who it was a choice. If we're in the rural areas,
you had no choice.
You had no choice.
Yeah.
It was the circumstances.
Absolutely.
So yes, it was that was the time. So after the war, it intensified too much. I think it was between 77, 78. that's when I went to Blawayo, because my brother was working in Blawayo.
So you went to live with your brother. Okay.
And attending school in Blawayo.
Okay. And then your high school?
Then from there, I went to St. Patrick's Secondary School.
Right. In Juve, in
Chundura.
Or Chundura, okay.
Chundura, that is a law going there.
Okay.
So we used to do some cross country from the road there through that. I think there's something seminary there going to Chundura, and then that's where St. Patrick's is, and then that's where I was in Gweru, and then from there I came in Harare, where I did some timber teaching in Highfield. Whilst at the same time I was attending, I was doing my A levels, so I was corresponding my A level school, and there was some time I was teaching, and then after that, over 2 years, I went to the University of Zimbabwe. That's where we met you.
That's where we met.
Yes.
And you talk to me about your upbringing and the values inculcated to you by your mom and dad. What has made you the person that you are right now?
You know, unfortunately, let me start by being the positive side. My mom and my dad groomed me very well. Some of the words that my mother taught me, although she died when I was still very young.
Oh.
How
old were you?
I was
when
11.
Mom died? Wow.
Yeah, but I done everything in my life. Heading cattle from the mountains of Guhune down to any mountain in that area. I know them, right? I done everything. Because we have more girls in my family than men. So I was doing that. You know, boys who used to head cattle.
Yes.
So what my mom taught me very simple things. That you know what. It will come to pass. Whatever happens in life, my son, it will come to pass. So she will say, so you know, it was always a consolation that anyway, whenever I'm very disappointed by people, wherever I come from at school, whatever, she always tell me,
it will come
John,
to
it
pass.
will come to pass. And indeed today, I still believe the words always in my mind. It will come to pass.
You've said that to me a number of times, including the time I came to see you when my parents had passed on. And you had lost your own brother.
My brother.
And one of the things you said to me was, Trevor, sorry, it will come to pass.
Pass.
It's a value that has stayed with you.
And today we are meeting, it has come to pass.
It will come to pass. Indeed.
Today we've lost Dagi.
It
I know it will come to pass either.
We'll get
so my mom always tell me that. And my dad was always a cash talker. So my mom died.
Is your dad still alive?
No. Again, he passed on in 1992, after 16 years after my mom had passed away. And but of course, dad stayed with us for some time after mom had gone. And again, you know, he was always a cash talker. And he always wanted to.
So this cash talk you got from your father, eh?
Yes, and he was always developmental.
Right.
He never slept. You know, he was a shoemaker in Kesho. And you know, so he woke up in the morning, 3 a.m. with this bicycle. And,
when you look back at the way you were raised, what are you most grateful for?
I'm more grateful by to be honest with you, the strong raw values that they put in me.
Wow.
And it taught me very few things, which are very critical up to now. Respect. Just respect. I see in this economy, in this country, there is a degradation of the value called respect. We need to have respectfully. When I speak to you, we might differ in our opinion, but we have to respect also my opinion. You see, I see the tendency of always wanting to insult each other in the country. I see tendency of not wanting to always have a common objective, as if we are two countries in one. You know, it's a lack of respect. We need to respect and differ maturely. Respectfully.
Yeah.
We need diversity. But diversity doesn't mean that you need to fight. So even if I look at some of the newspapers which they are written, people always seem to always be fighting. We don't need that. This day and age.
To tell me, as governor, you are right at the top there in terms of having risen your career. Is there anything that has humbled you? A failure that has humbled you, taught you that, John, life is tough?
What has humbled me is the people's reaction to our policies. Whenever we put a policy out, we always want to see the impact of the policy. So we're humbled by the comments that we get from people. We're humbled by the difficulties that people sometimes get in interpreting the policy. And we're humbled by the people of Zimbabwe. They are nice people. But sometimes you We're humbled by the way they believe things should be go their own way. But otherwise, without also giving a chance for us to explain. So what humbles us is for them that quest for knowledge about what is monetary policy. And sometimes people confuse monetary policy and fiscal policy. Fiscal policy is about...
it's complicated stuff, Governor.
No, but it's so simple. Fiscal policy is about talking about taxation. It's about the government taxation policy, how money is spent. Whereas monetary policy, we're talking about the money, what you put in the pocket, how to remove it. So there are two different things, but I can see. So sometimes I'm humbled by that issues, but also on our side, I'm humbled by the fact that we need, as a bank, to continue to focus on our remit. That by itself, it humbles you that what is your core business to ensure that there's a value for our local currency. So each time we think how best we need to ensure that people have a value for their money. How do they want their money to be spent? How do we, most when you see queues, you know, sometimes you're humbled. That you know what, how do I, so you drive and say, how do I make this different? Like for example, we have queues, not queues for local currency, queues for our foreign currency deposits. We put a facility for the $50 for $50 facility, US dollar for facility. People can get it from Beirut change. Then you're humbled, oh my God, we put it in such a manner that it was good faith, so that people can have access to foreign currency for their small transactions, your fuel, your medication.
But they're queuing up because they can't get it.
But you're saying that, no, because of that obsession for funding foreign currency, so what they want to import. But again, you see, then you're humble, say myself, should I remove this facility? Then one needs to know, let me not remove it, because it's helping those people who are genuine. But others say, no, but it's being abused. But those ones who want to go and sell foreign currency. Then so myself, what do you do? No, so we're humbled, we need to look for ways and means of become digital. So we're now saying, how do you make this money become a digital services without people going to the queue? Because we don't want queues. Queues are in ISO.
Queues are in ISO, Governor. I know we've taken time, but I really want to, a couple of things. Queues are in ISO. What worries me is, I hear you talk about financial inclusion. And I wonder whether we are there as far as financial inclusion is concerned. And why I say that, Governor, is because I'm seeing queues, people are battling to get their money. The auction is available to 5,000 companies, SMEs, and that kind of stuff. The majority of people are at the edges of this economy. Is financial inclusion a reality here?
Yeah, it is. No, it just worked. It is working very well.
Talk to me about that.
Yeah, with our financial inclusion, strategy number one.
Right.
It worked well. But what we are saying, financial inclusion, Trevor, what it means that here, say banking the unbanked, or let's say the financial services to the unbanked. If you look at the mobile banking, it has been able to include many people in the financial inclusion. You find most people now have wallets, their money, on their phones. They can use their phones for transacting, or for that part of inclusion. If you look at the cotton farmers, look at grain producers, you put money in their accounts, and you can also extend credit through the same medium of the phone. That you are
so technology has expanded financial inclusion.
Digital financial services has gone up too much. If I look at the performance of the microfinance credit-only institutions, they've increased, and the amount of money that they've given out to their clients has gone up. So end of the day, you are saying the depth. Look at this Empower Bank, Women's Bank. They're quite doing a lot to go all across the country to ensure that at least there is inclusivity. So when they say don't leave anyone behind, to me, when the president said that language, we are saying let's be inclusivity. So yeah, we are saying it. But we're not yet there. Okay. But we are still moving forward.
There's something I completely don't understand, Governor, but I must still ask you. Blockchain, Bitcoin, where are we with that?
Very simple. As a central bank, we don't believe in cryptocurrencies. We don't believe in this Bitcoins. We believe in central bank digital currency, which is basically trying to say how do we have an Zimbabwe dollar, as opposed to cryptocurrencies are investments. And those ones, the danger of them is that they are not regulated by the
central banks
throughout the world. Even look at China or Nigeria, wherever. Bitcoins or blockchain, as you said it. See, it reminds some of us with what happened to mobile banking transactions in Zimbabwe, whereby some people just created money from the blockchain and then created money supply in the economy. So I think as an economy, we are not yet there I think for now, our prayer is that let's work on the central bank digital currency before we go this other lot of cryptocurrencies, which I do believe, or blockchain, which I do believe will add up more headaches than solutions.
How far are we from a central bank digital currency?
We have our fintech group,
Yeah.
which and they're working very hard. We shall be taking some mission to study also what is been to say in Nigeria, in other countries, China, and also to see both all banks, most central banks in the world, they're working on this CBDC, and we are definitely almost there. But we need to work hard. So at the end of the day, but we need more of education, forward guidance in the market.
I need education. I don't understand that space.
So before it is done, this time around, again, that's what humbles us, that we now, whatever we do, a new product, again, if we just put it in the market, assume that we know it, and
people don't know
it. It's dangerous.
Yeah.
So that humbles us. Our experience over the past, it told us that whenever we do a new product, we need to communicate it as much as possible to the market, so that there's buy-ins and there's also feedback, and then we answer it before it happens. So that one is be done.
What keeps the governor awake at night? What is it that really you get up and you're like, gee, it's not done. It needs to be done. What keeps you awake at night?
To be honest with you, stabilizing this economy, it keeps me awake. My focus area, it's just make sure that the economy is stabilized, especially the pricing side. The exchange rate of this economy, it's something that is at the center of my heart. I want those two things, but they're related. The pass-through effects of the exchange rate into the pricing system is so closely related. What have happened to the exchange rate? Even the goods, if they aren't imported, people still use the exchange rate in products that are locally produced. So we want to move that dichotomy. We want to put the dichotomy between the exchange rate and the pricing system in Zimbabwe. At the same time, we want to ensure that it stabilizes the economy, it stabilizes our prices. And that, why is it very important? Value preservation.
Right.
In my job and in my wish, my life is to preserve people's value, to ensure that people have their value in their pockets. They don't lose it.
I hear that passion. There's something that worries me. I wonder if it worries you. 2023 is going to be an election year. And election years generally, governments misbehave. They start printing money, quasi-fiscal activities come in because they want to fund elections. Does that keep you awake at night? Does it worry you?
You know, to be honest with you, not the time around. I'll tell you why. There's too much of political goodwill in what we are doing.
That's good to hear.
The economic goodwill, political goodwill, is what develops the economy. Other things else are the secondary. You can be a very good governor or a very good finance minister, but when there's no political will, all what you are building comes not. So I've got this observation that we've got a very strong political will in whatever we're doing, and that the government wants to knock at our doors asking for money for elections.
That's good to hear.
Because of what we are seeing right now, and because of our conference. As I said when I started, that with my principals, we have got these continuous meetings, with a continuous interface, and in continuous engagement. And I see that there is no political will to destroy what is working.
Wow, that's very good to hear, and I think assuring to the people out there, and I think the international community, that the governor is in a good place. Where do you go to, Governor, when things are tough? I mean, we all have tough days. Things are not working. What do you do? Where do you go to? How do you wake up in the morning and encourage yourself to keep going? What do you do?
There are two places to go. The first and foremost, what I do believe that I believe in prayer.
Oh, wow.
First and foremost, I do believe for me to be here today. But this is my 19th year of my anniversary after my car accident.
Wow.
Very far car in November 2001. So I was thinking that I'm in a second realm of my life. So I give thanks for any day that I've worked to God. So first of all, I pray for it, and then I go to my principals. I've got a very open door communication with both the president, the vice president, and the minister of finance of this country. And anytime we do conversation like what we are doing today. That this is where I see things, this is where I see things, but this way I will do believe. So first of all, I go to my prayer, pray for it. I talk to my principals, and we always agree on the way forward.
You have a limp because you had this accident. Talk to me about that accident. It must have left a huge mark on you.
Yeah, it was a fatal one. It was on the 6th of November. I was driving past this Zimbabwe Park. Before that, this highway has been put there. And someone was coming from Mutari, and I was going opposite direction to Ruwa. And this hauling truck was disturbed by someone who encroached his own lane from that TM supermarket into the highway, and he swerved into my direction. And the hauling truck it hit about 3. Mine was second one. The first people who were in the Toyota Land Cruiser, I saw them perishing there.
Oh no!
Yeah, and then mine was hit, and then there's now what called the jackknife. So we know where to go. So my vehicle turned round and round until, so both of us are braking as usual. So the soft place, that's where it gives in. So by the head of the femur, my femur got damaged. It was multiple fractures. Therefore, I stayed in Avins Clinic for I think 4 weeks or so, having some surgery there from Dr. Powers and Nike. And there I. So I give thanks again to God.
Wow.
Because it could have been worse.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we need to say that when you see me, you are seeing a miraculous person. Because it was head on collusion. All this is.
Wow. Governor, our audience who are all over the world love books. This segment where we discuss books is perhaps one of the most popular segments.
Okay.
Talk to me. I know you read. You always say, Trevor, have you read this book? Have you read that book? So you bring out books from your library for me. Tell me, what books have you read that have left a huge mark on you that you would want to recommend to our book-loving audience?
Very simple. Let me start by a simpler one. Who Moved My Cheese?
Aha.
By Spencer Johnson, I think.
Well, why that book? I think you are maybe the fourth, sixth, seventh person that has recommended that book on this show over the past year or two.
It's managing change.
Right.
That if you remain at the same point, think that you get to where you were before by not doing anything. You never move. You need to move on with your life. If you weren't disappointed in life, or you are moving, change your management, you need to move on to look for the better pastures.
Right.
Who moved the cheese? Those are too small. Too small people. And you know what? That other guy was just staying there, thinking that the cheese is gone.
Yeah.
That one just started going, looking for it. So his life, I keep on saying, people, let's move on. So this idea of thinking that dollarization shall come. You are saying, who moved my cheese? Who moved my dollars? Who moved my
I'm not moving until it comes back.
It comes back. You are still waiting for your foreign currency. 2009, my friend is gone. So let's move on.
Your second book?
My second book by Banak.
All right, the federal governor.
Yes, the former Central Bank governor.
Yeah.
Ben Banak wrote a very good piece of work. It's a big one. That's why it's not like as small as Who Moved My Cheese. That's quite big. He spoke about the courage to act. The courage to act. It was the time when you're going through the financial crisis. 2007, 2008, 2009. How hard the Federal Reserve officials, together coordinating with the Minister of Finance officials, the Treasury Secretary, how hard they worked to ensure that the American economy does not collapse, including the whole world economy. Sleepless nights, they were not sleeping. They were on it, working very hard to ensure that the world economy does not collapse. They found it in their hands that they were supposed to do so after the collapse of AIG, after this the subprime mortgages. If you read him, what also humbles me is about he spent more time about his background before he goes on to how he went over office to see the President Bush. We spoke with the Post and the Minister of Finance. You know, you spend more time how you grew up.
Yeah,
and
it's
also,
important.
Then you say that, no, people are different, by the way. You have grown elsewhere. And even this, their cultural, he spoke about where they come from, and also brother's brother, and his aunt, all those things, right? Before he went into it. So what you asked me about where I was born, all those things, it's also
important.
But what keeps me going there is about the courage to act.
Right.
When you are in difficulties, when you want to transform an economy, you need to have courage to act. And I have that courage myself to do the act. When people spoke about, hey, why did you put the bond notes? We had courage to act. So I assimilate these things that, you know what, as a Standard Bank governor, one of these key result areas is to have courage to act, courage to advise,
courage to do the right thing.
The right things, exactly, and courage to have conversation.
Yeah.
With
this is not easy, eh? Conversations are never easy. And the third one?
And the third one, it's I think it's Jack Welch, which he called that with his wife Susie.
Yeah.
You know, the style and the principles of management. You know, if you read it, see, you know what he went through, a transformation of General Electric. Very charismatic, but at the same time, very forceful, excellence in leadership. You know, you really see that in business, just like when you are yourself in business, you need to choose your team wisely.
Yeah.
And you need to be differentiate between leadership and management. You need people to lead. You are a leader. People are the people, not to overmanage a business.
No.
Not to
micromanagement.
And not to underlay their business. Just so is also in life. You need to have that.
Thank you for that, very much for that book. Do you have a message for Zimbabweans that you'd want to share with Zimbabweans now?
Thanks, Trevor. I think my message is very simple. That we are one team. We are Zimbabweans, first and foremost. Let's build Zimbabwe together as a team. Let's have a common objectives. Let's have common focus on our challenges, common focus on increasing production for this country. Let's always believe in ourselves. So that at the end of the day, when you believe in ourselves, it means that lives become simpler going forward. We need each other. No one has got a monopoly of knowledge in this country. Because of our diversity, let's celebrate diversity with maturity, with respect, and indeed, we can do that as a team. Let's work together, and we're here as a Standard Bank. Give us your advice, and we are there to ensure that we push on together as a team. Together, 2022 we need to be a better year, where we expect the economy to perform much better than even in 2021.
Governor,
Zimbabwe.
Thank you so much. First of all, you and I are both pained by the passing on of Doug. We're committing this episode to dedicating this episode for the memory of Doug, a fellow banker for you, a great friend for me. I've always looked forward to coming to your office because you've got this very cheerful spirit for a man who's carrying so much. So, Governor, thank you so much for allowing us to come into your offices to do the recording of this episode. We don't take this for granted. We're absolutely grateful. Thank you so much. And
once again, our condolences to Doug and his family. May his dear soul rest in eternal peace. And our love, thoughts, and prayers are with his family. These are difficult times when people are still searching their souls. What could have happened? Yeah. What could not have happened? I mean, you know, these are always a wish to know what could have happened. But you know what? We need to say that, as it was said in Ecclesiastes 3, verse 8 to 12, there's always time for everything.
Absolutely.
Time to be born, time to leave this earth. It's not our wish, but it's God's wish. So in God's hands we shall leave you. Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Allow me to address myself to our viewers who are all over the world. We thank you for the support that you've given us, that has made this show the success that it has become. Remember, we are a weekly show. We come out every Monday morning at 7 a.m. Central African Time on YouTube. To ensure that you don't miss any of this quality conversation like the one I've just had now with the Governor, please click on this red button and subscribe. If you subscribe, you will receive an alert every time we have one of these quality conversations. We've gone a step further and created podcasts for you. If you scroll below this video, you'll find a podcast to this conversation. Click onto that link for your listening pleasure. Until next time, cheers to you all.
The idea that you want to always be, on the sidelines, criticizing and all those things, is also one that is not necessarily positive for the country. So when the call came, I reflected, obviously consulted my family, to have to deal with a civil service, father who has never worked in government all my life. It's time to serve. I think I can make a difference. That's what I really believe in. It's easy to be on the sidelines, but to be a participant is more difficult. So, I feel that I need to serve. I need to do my part. We can criticize later on, but, show us what you can do.